Whether you're building a website for your personal brand, a project you're working on, or your business, you can build it using the .site domain extension. And people, I've actually done it. I've adopted the slopes.site website for my own website. Slopes Game Room, and you read that as all one big word, .com, it's all a bit too much. So slopes.site is what I'm going to be using from now on. For me, it's just perfect for building a memorable brand. If you think about it, slopes.site, it's short, it's sleek, it's simple to remember. I really like my new domain name, and if you're planning to buy one, you should definitely begin your search with .site. It's new, it's what all the cool kids are doing, and you are likely to find the choice of your name on .site. So guys, if you are interested, go over to www.get.site or click the link in the description to search for your .site domain right now. I love playing indie games. For me, they are the perfect progression from the games that I grew up with back when new gameplay styles and improvements on some of my favourite genres were commonplace. Perhaps it's a nostalgic thing, in fact I'm pretty sure that it is, but when I play a game I just want to have fun, plain and simple. Classic games just give me that buzz, and more often than not finding a classic inspired indie game gives me even more of a buzz. That's not to say I don't play current gen games too, I do. And because of this, sometimes I just miss out on some excellent indie titles that in all honesty are probably way more up my street, which is why in 2014, possibly 2013 at EGX London, I was handed a leaflet from a game developer, which I no doubt thanked him for. I put it in a bag full of random other gaming junk from the convention, and I didn't look at it again. Which was a big mistake. Even though I don't remember it, that company or representative from that company who handed me this one sheet of paper here were the game developer Two Tribes, and the game that they were showing off would eventually become one of my all-time favourite indie titles. And thankfully, Super Rare Games have gone and released it physically alongside Toki Tori Collection for the Nintendo Switch, as well as a couple of other games on here too. Now, if you're like me, yeah, sure, it's cool to own a new mini box set of games for the Nintendo Switch, but a shoot 'em up bundled with a puzzle platformer? Yeah, seems a bit odd, right? Well, it's actually quite ingenious. This is a homage to the incredible Two Tribes indie studio, and not just two similar games of the same genre. So, without further ado, in true Slopes Game Room fashion, I think it's best we look at the complete history of Two Tribes. Let's go back to the beginning. Back in the early 90s, Colin van Ginkel here, a teenage gamer from the Netherlands, worked with a few friends over several years to make Eggbert for the MSX. Yes, there's a hardcore oversimplification of the game creation process, but hey, you get the idea. He was young, but still he created something worthwhile. It was a cute, simple game from 1994 that did what it needed to do, using a small warp ability, bridge building ability, and plenty of other abilities you need to go and save all of the eggs throughout the stage. You only have a limited amount of uses per ability. I suppose it's similar to Lemmings in that regard, and besides walking left and right or just up and down ladders, that's all Eggbert can do. For newcomers, this is essentially an early version of one of those Donkey Kong vs Mario games. It's simple, it does the job, and it's rewarding as all hell when you get past some of those later levels. Anyway, that was all the way back in 1994. As said, he made a fair few friends, and between this time to the year 2000, he teamed up with Martin Reivers to create the game development studio Two Tribes, with the vision of creating a shooter game similar to Parodius. And guys, this didn't happen. Instead, the two decided to resurrect old Eggbert, and after a very lengthy process created their first game, Toki Tori, published by Capcom for the Game Boy Color. And this is the first game that we will be looking at from this Nintendo Switch collection. Now, just like Eggbert, the game is essentially a standard follow-up. You still need to save all your eggy friends, and you still collect plenty of useful power-ups as you go throughout the game. There really isn't much that I could say that will sway you one way or another. If this sort of game looks interesting to you, then it probably will be. From a historic point of view, it's awesome that this game is included in this bundle. However, for its time, it honestly didn't really hit it big, and it wouldn't do until 2008, when they completely revamped the game as a WiiWare download title, and again, this version is also included in this collection. Now, whilst this remake plays in the background, let's chat a little bit more about Two Tribes themselves, specifically between the years 2001 and 2008. What were they doing? Well, to continue making games their way, the duo decided to also work on ports of popular games from other game studios to fund the creation of their own releases. This mentality never really stopped within the company, and plenty of mobile phone games were pumped out by the studios, such as Worms World Party for the Nokia N-Gage, Golf Tour for the Nokia 6230i, as well as Monkey Ball Mini Golf, Golf Pro Contest 2, and Sponk's Return, all for mobile phones, and even the Nintendo DS port of Worms Open Warfare 2. On the surface, this may have made them look a little bit like a throwaway company, but not only was they working on this Toki Tori remake at the same time, but also another incredibly ambitious action RPG for the Game Boy Advance called Three Tribes. Sadly, however, this game never made it past its demo routes, but you can unlock this demo as part, again, of this Nintendo Switch collection.
This doodad looks familiar, but what's it doing here? Okay, now what? Hey, what's the command again? Sweet.
Inside the case that I got from Super Rare Games alongside the standard collectible cards is a slip of paper detailing info from the company and giving lots of tidbits of information about them during their heyday. One interesting thing is that after Toki Tori was released on mobile phones, becoming so incredibly popular that it became a top 10 download, the publisher that put out the game would constantly send over mostly unfinished games to the Two Tribes studios so that they could do a bit of cross promotion. You know, put their characters into Toki Tori and vice versa, because if this next mobile game ended up being popular, it would be a great promotion for everybody involved. Well, these offers came in thick and fast, and Martin remembers seeing a game full of feathered creatures where you need to destroy everything around you. He didn't like it and didn't even bother replying to the email. That game eventually became Angry Birds. Anyway, back to this collection. Now that we've covered both versions of Toki Tori and the Three Tribes demo, what's up next? Well, this is Swap This, another original game from the company originally released for iOS. A game released whilst the company was still pumping out plenty of ports in 2011. It's a rather simple game that requires you to make as many chains as possible, letting you swap any tile with any other tile before they all explode to get the highest chain possible. Yep, this is Swap This. It was by this point that the company had adopted as best they could to the ever-changing game market. No longer was it necessary to get publishers involved to make your own games, you could do it all yourself. And on top of this, they even started working with other smaller indie devs to create ports of games that they enjoyed, such as Edge and Sword and Soldiers. But again, whilst all of this was going on, they was working on another game themselves, and in 2013 they finally released the follow-up to the now popular Toki Tori WiiWare game, Toki Tori 2 for the Wii U. Although it's actually Toki Tori 2 Plus, which is a slightly revamped version, which is the one that's included again in this bundle. Unsurprisingly, if you enjoyed Toki Tori, you're gonna enjoy this. The only downside to this collection is that it's the ultimate version to play, meaning you're probably not gonna want to go back and play those earlier games once you get underway with this title. In this version, your main abilities are to stomp and to sing. The rest is pretty much the same. Go left, go right, go up and down ladders, and actually you can go up slight inclines in this one too. Everything else, just like before, requires you to use these few abilities to the max throughout the game. And as the game progresses, this time in a much more open world, dare I say it Metroidvania style, you learn how your few abilities interact with this new jaw-dropping world. Whereas previous games may leave you scratching your noggin wondering what the hell you're supposed to do, in this one it seems a lot more intuitive and less frustrating, as for the most part you can find yourself freely moving around and coming back to certain parts later on in your playthrough. With that said, the game can feel slow at times, but thankfully it is a game you can just shut off and turn on whenever you feel like you need a relaxing hour or two of gameplay. Toki Tori pretty much became a mascot for the company by this point, and being able to have the entire Toki Tori collection on just one bundle is actually quite nice indeed. But anyway, back to the timeline. This was all back in 2013. What happened to the company after this date? Well, it actually didn't look like much was going on at all. The studio for the most part stopped working on ports and instead decided to go back to their roots to finally create the game that well over 10 years of game development has prepared them for. They had sussed out platforming, they had sussed out puzzling, they had sussed out how to make a believable and stunning world, and they had done all of this using their own created engines, as they wasn't a fan of the way that the industry had moved towards a more standard Unreal Engine and microtransactional mindset. Now was finally the time to make that Parodius style game that they'd always wanted to make since the very beginning, injecting all of the stuff that they'd learnt along the way, and after several fairly lengthy delays in 2016, not early 2015, Rive was released on the PlayStation 4 and Steam, although the version I'm obviously going to be playing today is obviously the Nintendo Switch version. Yes, I now own 3 limited editions of this very game. I like it that much. So, this is Rive, the final game from 2 Tribes. If you liked Blaster Master, Geometry Wars, R-Type, heck, even a little bit of Toki Tori 2, then this is the game for you. The guys over at 2 Tribes understood their fans and created something just for them. At times, you are going to want to rip your hair out whilst playing this game, as it can be punishingly difficult. But thankfully, when you work out what the game is trying to get you to do, fairly quickly I might add, you will be left with sheer glee. The game is so good, and I've played through it several times to completion. In fact, I played through the entire game only the other day for this video, accidentally deleted it, and was ecstatically happy that I got to play through it again for this video. You move with the left stick, aim and shoot with the right, and jump with the trigger buttons. It takes a little getting used to, in all honesty, but thankfully the ability to always have your fingers on the buttons actually works out for the best. There is a lot going on in this game. At one point it's a typical shmup, then it's a puzzler, then it's a puzzle shooter similar to Gunstar Heroes, then it's a Geometry Wars clone, you then get chased by bad guys forcing you to put your best platformer gamer headset on, and at other times it's just downright war. I honestly can't suggest this game enough. For people out there that genuinely enjoy this constant change of classic gaming, a tad more than the hardcore side of things than other indie games at times, this is the perfect love letter for gamers, well, like me, and it's the perfect send-off for a company like 2 Tribes. Yep, sadly, this was the final game that they ever made, and it looks to be the final game that they're ever gonna make. As stated, I actually own this game several times, and although I do like my PlayStation 4 PlayAsia copies, affiliate links below, I can't deny that the very best way to play this game is via the Nintendo Switch. It's just the perfect complement to such an awesome game, and Super Rare Games, the guys that sent me this collection over, have always done a great job with their constant limited releases, and I highly suggest you go and check out their website. Again, the link will be in the description. So again, a massive thank you to Super Rare Games for the Two Tribes 2001 to 2019 Mega Pack for the Nintendo Switch. At first, a confusing compilation, but one that makes complete sense when looking at the bigger picture. Like I said, the company closed its doors with Rive, besides continuing to support their previous work, and to find out exactly why they stopped creating such excellent titles like these, in my opinion, the best place to look is on the company's website.
We've been working in the games industry since early 2000, making us dinosaurs, old farts, grandfathers, or whatever you want to call us. This is great because we've got a lot of experience, but it also means that we act like a typical grandfather, slow and totally unaware of what's hot and what is not. Don't get us wrong, we absolutely love making games, and we strongly feel that we're good at making them. However, ask us about any new industry developments, and often a big question mark appears above our heads. For example, we're used to working with our own proprietary engine. It's technology that works great for us, but is by no means competitive with tools like Unity or the Unreal Engine. And then there are monetization strategies like free-to-play. We only know and feel comfortable working with the traditional model of full-priced games. The same goes for marketing. We know how to make a decent trailer and send out a press release, but we have no clue how to get traction on YouTube and Twitch. Long story short, grandfathers like to digress, when running a company, you need to be on top of your game, not just in terms of the product you're making, but business-wise too. And we just aren't on top of the game's business anymore. Therefore, it makes sense to focus our attention elsewhere, perhaps even outside the games industry. We simply don't know yet, but we do know that Rive is going to be a parting gift to you, and we're making damn sure it's going to be an awesome one.
Hey there guys, thanks for checking out the video. Apologies if it took a little bit longer to get out. I've been quite under the weather recently, plus a few other things that we need to sort out at home, but here it is anyway. So thank you to Super Rare Games for providing the game for this particular video. And before we go ahead, there are a couple of other shout outs I want to give. Obviously, firstly to my sponsor who helped out with this particular episode, the .site domain extension guys. Yes, slopes.site. Such an easier website to remember rather than slopesgameroom.com. If you guys are interested in doing something similar to your website, then yeah, check the link down below in the description where, you know, you guys can sign up yourself to do that sort of thing. So yeah, thank you very much for sponsoring the video, and also a massive shout out goes out to Greg from Did You Know Gaming. Yes, that guy you heard right at the end reading off the quote was Greg. So massive shout out to you, buddy. But of course, these people always get the shout outs because they help me out every single month, and that would be my incredible Patreons. With an extra big shout out going to, here we go, Gary Pinkett, Mantis, That Retro Video Gamer, Ryan Burford, Andrew Dalton, Ben Jackson, Jonathan Hayward, Kevin King, Christopher Turnbull, Phil Lowlins, Rovan Army, Ryan Holtz, Retro to Next Gen, Hawk89, Dina Robertson Dunn, Adam Lefty Taylor, Intrigued Gaming, Abby Morris, Tim Labonte, Asobi Quang DX, Tim Lunn, Pixels.Limited, aka Samuel Victor, Red the Beard, Conrad Constantine, Pretendo64, Creamy Elephant, Casey Garner, Blitz Hedgie, Link Reviews, Jim Naps, Shadow Dial, Game Apologist, Chris Applin, Wobbles and Bean, The Wonder Ducks, Ye Old Hamburglar, Dan Patsy, Lucas Softail, Runny Method, SSWB, Solex Captor, Jeremy Rodriguez, Nick Pollard, Baran Perez, Marcus Chemo Cut Tyndall, The Geeky Dad, Richard Carter, aka Fantastic Dizzy, Todd Paul Float G, and of course, Petty Mew. Like I say always and always say, guys, if you guys want to get your name shouted out, get your name shown, come see what I'm working on, join exclusive rooms in my Discord channel, be part of movie nights, be part of all these different cool things that these patrons always get, then there'll be a link for that too down in the description. But anyway, guys, I think that's enough of me for today. I'm already working on my next several videos at the same time. Now I've got over this flu, I'm back in action. So, until next time, this is DJ Slope signing out, and hopefully I'll see you all next time.